Okay, welcome. I promised that I would make a video talking about the spreadsheets that I'm using to manage my diet, the way that I'm managing my metrics and very strictly controlling calories and working towards a goal. So remember that my goal is to lose 30 pounds in 60 days. So that's a half pound a day for 60 days. That was the goal that I set for myself. I'm doing a little bit better than that. And I think that part of the reason that I'm doing better than I expected is because of the rigorous method that I'm using to track what I'm eating and to track my results. So these are sort of my leading indicators. My leading information is how much I put in, and my lagging indicators are the results that I have the next day. And so far, those results are, in my opinion, they're extraordinary. They're much better than I had predicted. But my goal is also not just to lose 30 pounds in 60 days. It is to do so on a consistent basis, to lose the same amount of weight per period of time, to lose the same amount of weight every 3 days or every week, just so that I can predict when I'm going to achieve my goal. And if I'm losing half a pound a day, then I can say I'm going to lose 30 pounds in 60 days. And that was kind of my initial goal. So far, I'm doing much better than that. I'm losing around a pound a day. And I don't know what the reasons for that are just yet. And I'll get to the bottom of it at some point. But I am losing about a pound a day. And I'm surprised that I can do that. I never thought that I could do that. I've tried to do this in the past, and I could do it for 1 day or 2 days, but then I wouldn't be able to do it consistently. And I always thought, well, it's a mystery. But the fact of the matter is it's not a mystery. It's a matter of carefully controlling the calories that you put into your body. So let me show you how I've done it. I've built up this little spreadsheet over here that explains how many calories I can have for today's weight. So let's just assume I started off at 194 pounds. And if I was at 194 pounds, which is where I started, and I punched that in, I think you'll notice that the number of calories changed, right? So if I went from 194, watch this blue area right over here. If I punch in 190, this number is going to change. It's going to drop to 1229. So that tells me how many calories I can have for the day. And then what I've done is I've broken it down into the meals that I have plus some snacks. Now, I'm not snacking anymore. I've cut that completely out because I know that this is just adding bad calories. So I've cut out all the snacking. But I do have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So let's start with breakfast. I know what my breakfast looks like. I've been having this breakfast for a long time. This is pre-diet. It looks like this. It always looks like this. What I did do is I adjusted the number of, the volume of a smoothie that I have to kind of match my diet a little bit better and to cut down on the carbs. But I still have eggs and ham, and I fry my eggs in butter. And I've carefully controlled and measured everything. I measure it on a regular basis. I know how much the ham that I consume because it's right on the package. So I know that I have 4 slices of ham at 20 calories per slice, and it gives me these numbers. I know what butter is, and I know what the eggs are because we weigh them, and we know that we're using roughly 70-gram eggs on a regular basis. And the smoothie, I'll show you the formula for that later on. But I know that my breakfast right now looks like this. It gives me these numbers. And so that's what I'm definitely putting into my body every morning. I have my smoothie at 10 o'clock in the morning now. I'm trying to pace out my breakfast so that I have a little mid-morning snack so that I'm not as hungry. So I push my smoothie off until around 10:30. And so I think that's helping me. In an hour from now, we're going to be having lunch, so I can make it to lunch. I know this, right? So even though I'm hungry right now as I speak to you, I know that in 1 hour from now, I'm going to be able to eat the largest meal of my day, which is my lunch. And that's made up of a protein and a vegetable and some cooked rice. I also have this great spice that my wife makes because she's just this amazing cook. And she makes this amazing chili lemongrass spice. Now, I'm going to say that it's 30 calories. There's no way that it's 30 calories, but I'm going to say that it's 30 calories because I know that she uses a form of substrate, a little bit of oil in the substrate. So I'm going to say that I'm getting that nice fatty olive oil but I'm going to say it's 30 calories. I don't think it can be, but maybe it is, right? I use like about a teaspoon of this spice, so I'm just going to be very liberal about it, and I'm going to say it's 30 calories. At some point, when she makes that recipe again, I'm going to calculate everything that's in here, and I'll know exactly how much it is per gram. But right now, I don't know because I haven't measured any of it. She's due to make this spice in about 2 or 3 weeks anyway, so I'll measure it all up and figure it out. Cooked rice, that's the area where I can sort of sacrifice calories because I know that cooked rice really gives me nothing but carbs. That's really all it's doing. It's not giving me anything. It's the cooked white rice. There's really no minerals or nutrients in there that matter. I know that it's got great amino acids, but I'm getting amino acids from other locations, and I am supplementing with basic supplements. So I know that I'm getting it. I don't need this, but I do like my rice, and it puts a little more bulk into this meal in the morning or at lunch. So what I do is I just choose whatever's available. So here's my little drop-down list, right? Create a little list. So I know that we use a lot of chicken breasts and chicken thighs, and I know we have ribeye and ground beef and pork tenderloins, and we have canned salmon and canned tuna, or just regular old salmon and pompano. It seems to be the popular dishes that we have. Or, my wife makes all sorts of different dishes with this. So what she does is she just bakes or roasts something separate for me. She just like makes a separate little piece of whatever that meal, and then she just throws that in the oven, and then she makes the rest of the meal for the kids and herself, right? So it's not that much more effort. So I get whatever this is, and then all I do is I select whatever the protein is, and you'll see what the numbers happen. So this is the number of calories that I'm allowed to have of chicken breast at this meal, because that's what I've decided I'm going to have. And if it's ribeye today, watch, I am only allowed to have 103 grams of ribeye to get 300 calories. And this is what it yields in terms of carbs and proteins. Same with the broccoli, right? We could be having cauliflower, and I am allowed to have 217 grams of cauliflower if I want 50 grams or 50 calories. And this is what it yields. So this is a very flexible approach, and I can do that again for dinner. And probably tonight I'm going to have chicken breast and broccoli, as I usually do. I really do like that little recipe. It's kind of a quick recipe that we have. So this is where I'm targeting. Now, this morning I clocked in at 181.7 pounds, 181.7. So I'm going to enter that, and it's 178 calories, and I already pre-calculated my diet for today before I showed this to you. So I'm allowed to have this many grams of chicken breast, this many grams of broccoli, this many grams of ribeye, this many grams of cauliflower today, and this many grams of rice, right? Because I want to have only 41. And as my weight drops and as my caloric limitation decreases along with my weight, where I'm going to sacrifice calories is right here in that cooked rice. I'm just going to get rid of this cooked rice. And then the next place that I'm going to sacrifice calories is in this smoothie right here. I'm going to eventually get rid of the smoothie. Why? Because even though I'm getting great micronutrients from that spinach, I am getting it from broccoli because I have a lot of broccoli during the day. And also, it's a lot of carbs here, right? So eventually I'm going to get rid of 25 carbs. 25 grams of carbs, right? So that's going to improve my weight loss. It's not going to harm it. It's going to improve it. But this is where I'm going to sacrifice. I'm not going to sacrifice here. Now, over time, as I do this diet, I'm going to increase the amount of protein that I'm taking in. So right now I'm getting 157 grams of protein a day, as far as I can tell. Maybe it's a little bit more, maybe it's a little bit less. But if I wanted to add lean muscle mass, I'm going to have to significantly increase this, right? Instead of 1,000 calorie a day deficit, I'm going to have to go into a 500 calorie a day surplus. And I need to really increase my protein, maybe up to about 175 to 200 grams, depending on my weight. And so I'm going to want to bulk up after this process, after this shredding process. I'm going to want to add 20 pounds of lean mass to my body. So that'll be a whole different set of videos. But I'm going to be continuing to use this formula to work this. So I'm very glad that I was able to engineer this, and it kind of worked out really well. Let me show you where I come up with this today's calories. It's very simple. All I do is I use the BMR formula that was out on the internet. And I use that formula. I punch in my weight and my age and my height, and I get a BMR for the day. And that BMR is the basis for my calculation. Now, I don't know what my normal activity is, but I said it's 500 calories. And I don't know what my daily exercise is because it varies and I'm tired and I'm not doing as much as I think I want to. I have no idea, but I just put a set number of 500 in here. And then what I do is I just knock off an arbitrary 1,000 calories to get my number in, right? Is it 1,000 calories? I don't think so. I'm losing a pound a day, which means there's probably a 3,500 calorie a day deficit. It's not 1,000 calories. If I'm losing a pound a day, it's a 3,500 calorie a day deficit. So what that means is that if I'm taking in 1,100 calories and I've got, and a pound is 3,500 calories, that means I normally burn 4,500 calories a day. I find that hard to believe, but I'm a pretty active guy. Like I do a lot of things, and maybe I am, but I find it hard to believe that I'm burning 4,500 calories a day. So I don't know why this is happening, and I haven't figured it out yet. Maybe somebody can explain it to me, but I'm only taking in 1,178 calories, and I'm going to blow a pound probably today. I'm probably going to lose another pound because I've been doing it for 15 days straight, 14 days straight. I've been losing a pound a day on this diet. And some of it's water weight. I know that, but there's only so much water you can lose, right? And I am replenishing. I'm drinking a lot of water. So, I'm going to drink some water right now. And I'm drinking it with my electrolytes, my salts, my potassium, my magnesium, iron, phosphorus. So I am getting my electrolytes very regularly. So I don't think that I'm dehydrating myself. I think that I'm having the water that I need. So the pound a day is probably realistic. I'm losing it from somewhere. So, and this was over here was just kind of a projection to say if I lost 2 pounds a week, which is what I thought I was going to lose on this diet, and I probably wanted to go further. This is how many weeks it's going to take me, right? So this is the original projection, and this is where I want to get to. This is my target right over here, right? And when I was in my 30s, I weighed in at about 172, and I was there again. In my 40s, I was at this weight. It was no problem to maintain. But then we had kids, and I gained weight. So this kind of is of no value, really. It was just kind of like to project. Let me show you about my calories and carbs. So what I did is I just created 3 tables, and I just said I've got meats, vegetables, and snacks. So with my meats, I just created a header of the kind of proteins that we have. And, this is for my breakfast. I just use this for my breakfast calculation. So it's not part of my drop-down list for my meats. But then I just calculated calories per gram. So I just went on the internet and looked up 100 grams of each one of these things. And then I divided it by 100. And I got my proteins and I got my carbs. Same with the vegetables. Looked up 100 grams of each one of these vegetables on the internet. Sometimes I had to look for 2 or 3 different places because they had different numbers, and I kind of averaged them out. And I usually use the most liberal numbers. So I didn't want to cheat, so I gave like the highest numbers for each one that I saw. So I kind of know those. And then for my snacks so far, I've only really looked at dry roasted almonds, but I'm going to take a look at apples and oranges. We have cherries, we have bananas. So I'm going to go through that and really punch these numbers out so that I have this on a list, and it's going to work out really well for the future. One of the things that I do like to have is a latte. I make my own lattes. I've got a very good espresso latte maker machine. And I make my own lattes, and I know that there's a lot of calories in those. So it turns out that the way I make my lattes, if I make a mocha, it's 320 calories and 19 grams of carbs. And if I make the white chocolate mocha, which is my favorite, with the Starbucks creamer, it's 310 calories, but 30 grams of carbs, which is enormous, and I'm not going to have that. Now, I might reward myself with a regular mocha this weekend because I've done really well. But I'm going to have to think about it because I really like the progress that I'm having, right? I'm motivated by the numbers I'm tracking. And that's kind of part of my success is that I'm tracking numbers. And the tracking, the daily review of my numbers is what motivates me, right? Having a piece of chocolate is not as valuable as being able to say, I didn't break the chain of events. I wrote down my numbers and I lost another pound. So right now I can postpone having a piece of chocolate for another 45 days. I can do it. And it helps if I have my stats in front of me, and I'll show you my stats in a minute. So anyway, lattes, very heavy. And the ones at Starbucks, twice as much. They're huge, right? There's 700 to 1,000 calories. So, you really got to control that stuff. And my smoothie, I calculated out how my wife makes her smoothie. So I went and measured typical oranges that we have, typical bananas, typical apples. And we use a bag of frozen spinach. So we know exactly what the content is in that bag of frozen spinach. And she puts in, she makes this at around 2,000 milliliters because she adds water. She adds nothing else in the base smoothie. Now for the kids, she puts in a little bit of honey. And for me, nothing. She used to put in, I think, chia seeds and a couple of other things. But right now we're just kind of making this kind of smoothie, and it's very acceptable. And I broke it down per milliliter. And then what I do is I have 300 milliliters of that smoothie. I can modify this, right? I can say if I go up to 400 milliliters, see, it modifies my formula, and it says I can go up. But right now I'm having 300 because that's what I'm finding works for this diet. So I'm having about 300 milliliters. And again, this between cooked rice and smoothie is where I'm going to scavenge the next spots for calorie reduction. I'm not going to scavenge my protein and my vegetable. I'm not going to do it because that's very beneficial. These are beneficial calories, and I need to keep these up so that I don't damage my body along the way. Now, by the way, I am supplementing along the way, right? I'm taking a great GNC multivitamin. I'm taking extra vitamin D. I'm taking in a lot of omega-3 fatty acids. So I am supplementing, and I'm making sure that I'm maintaining my health and getting the vitamins and nutrients and minerals that I need by supplements, at least for the time being. And even if I didn't do that, you can tolerate this for 30 to 40 days. You can. You're not gonna, you're gonna be okay. People have bypass, stomach bypass surgery, lap surgery, and they go through the same process. They dramatically reduce their calories, and they're fine. Your body can handle it, but not for long periods of time, but for a short period of time, you can handle it. And maybe you can't, but I'm confident that I can. And maybe some other people can handle it for much longer than I could. But right now, I feel like I'm pretty healthy and I eat pretty healthy. And I've got a healthy lifestyle. I don't smoke. I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink any sugar drinks. And I never have. So I feel like I'm going to be okay. The last part of this is that chain calendar where I kind of track my stats and my metrics. So this is my lagging indicators, right? This is the result of this. I do this. This is my leading indicator. If I do this, then I'm going to get this result the next day. So this morning I weighed myself. I came in at 181.7 pounds. My blood sugar last night was 96 going to bed, and it was 95 coming up, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And so that means I've got 16.7 pounds to go in 47 days. I think I can make my goal, which is right here, right? I've got all this to fill out, and I think I can make my goal. I think I'm going to probably achieve my goal somewhere in here or early in this spot over here. I think that's what I can do. But life events occur. I could be called away to go do something for personal or business reasons, and that could change everything. Right now, I'm in a very controlled environment. I'm in my home, and I can control my diet dramatically. I don't know what my diet looks like if I'm out for an entire day. I don't know how I'm going to eat if I'm out for an entire day. I think I'm just going to end up skipping lunch if I'm out for an entire day. And that's going to be hard. That's going to be difficult to do. But anyway, right now I'm in a very controlled environment and I can pull this off. Not saying that I could do this otherwise. So this morning I recorded these metrics, 181.7 pounds. My blood sugar was 95. Tonight I'm going to measure my blood sugar again, and then I'm going to put an X or an O here to indicate whether I cheated or not. And so far, haven't cheated throughout this entire diet. I've been very careful to not cheat and not have a bowl of rice. Again, I consider cheating not an almond, not one almond, but I do consider cheating a bowl of almonds. I do consider cheating an extra bowl of rice. I consider cheating, having a latte, and I might cheat this weekend. I'm going to predict that somewhere around here, I'm probably going to cheat. I'm probably going to throw in a latte here, and we'll see. We'll see what the effects are for 2-3 days. You'll see that it'll slow down my weight loss significantly. So I might have a latte this weekend, just to reward myself because I think I deserve it after all this. But that's these two sheets, this one leading indicator, this one lagging indicator, have been a huge benefit to me, have really helped me to understand how younger people manage their weight, and then how younger people manage their weight gain, their lean muscle mass weight gain, right? How people who are bodybuilding and body sculpting, how they do this. And this is really what I'm preparing for, is I'm preparing all of the tools necessary for me to get down to a weight and then build up my muscle mass from there by adding an extra 500 calories of protein or calories and protein a day. We'll see how that works. I'm studying that right now and I'm trying to figure that out. So this one part, blood sugar level, that was kind of interesting. I wanted to comment on that. A couple things that I've noticed about blood sugar level. Number one, your body stores emergency supplies or sort of forward supplies of sugar in your body, right? Glucose. It stores that, I believe, in your liver is where it stores it. And it releases some of that sugar in the morning, that glucose, into your bloodstream in the morning for you to wake up. So just as you're waking up, your eyes are waking up, so a hormonal process takes place in your body, and then your liver just dumps sugar into your body. And that's to wake you up. That's to get you up and running. And I heard somewhere that folks say, you know what, you should really wait about an hour before you have your first cup of coffee in the morning. Let that sugar work its way through, because you've already got this natural energy happening in your body because of a hormonal change. As your eyes open up and as you move around, your brain starts to pump out these hormones. So they say take advantage of that for about an hour and then have your cup of coffee, because that's when you'll really need it. You'll really need that cup of coffee in about an hour, not the minute you wake up. Now, I'm a minute the minute I wake up, I go make my cup of coffee kind of guy. So I'm not really taking advantage of that, but I do know that as soon as you wake up, if you measure your blood sugar, it's going to be a little bit higher. Some of these measurements that are low, it's because I waited half an hour or an hour. Now, another thing that I have noticed is that if I measure my blood sugar after my 2 double espressos in the morning, I've noticed that my blood sugar goes up. I've done it before and after, and I've noticed that there's about a 10 unit change on my blood glucose content. It'll go from 80 to 90 or from 85 to 95. Now, I don't have any sugar or cream in my coffee. I have it black. I have a black double espresso Americano every morning. That's what I have. And there's nothing in there. So theoretically, in my mind, there shouldn't be any carbs in there, but maybe there are. Maybe the caffeine maybe there's so much coffee bean in there. There's enough coffee bean in that grind that there is some carbs in there. So I don't know whether there is in that sort of that fine carb, that finely ground coffee bean. I don't know if there's a lot of carbs in there. I imagine there has to be carbs in there. So maybe that's part of it. The other thing too is that I'm told that caffeine, or I've read that caffeine can stimulate your liver to dump some blood sugar, some glucose back into your system. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I have experienced that. I've observed it by measuring my blood sugar. But what I'm really looking for, to be honest with you, is that I'm looking for a fasting pre-breakfast blood sugar level to be under 100, which it is. And I'm looking for a bedtime blood sugar level to be nice and low. That's what I'm looking for. And I've got that. And I've never really had a problem with blood sugar. There's no real diabetes in my family. But I do know that type 2 diabetes is an issue when you're 30, 40 pounds overweight or heavier than you should be. So type 2 diabetes is an issue, but not for me. And I've been monitoring that, and I just don't think that it is an issue. I do know that my blood sugar will spike if I have a meal filled with carbs. And then I'll have not just a spike, but I'll have a crash later where I have like low blood sugar. And I think that's normal for everybody. But I have not experienced any of that with this diet. None. I mean, I really haven't. I haven't really felt the shakes or anything. I'm hungry, but I don't have the shakes. So this is where I'm at, and this is what I'm experiencing with blood sugar. And I think it's been a very positive experience so far. So that's it. I wanted to cover that. I hope that this spreadsheet is helpful for some of you. Feel free to just copy or do whatever you want to do with it. It's pretty straightforward. I'm just using horizontal lookups against this table over here, and all I did is I created a drop-down list over here. That was simple. All I do is I go over to data validation on that field, and I just look for a list, and here's my list, right? This is my list for my drop-down. I just pick that list right over here, and then that's it. It's really straightforward. There's really nothing mysterious about doing this in Excel. You can look this up. There's a ton of videos that explain how to do these things. I'm an Excel freak. I like using Excel, and I've used it all my life throughout my business career, or not my life, but certainly the last 25 years of my life. In my business career, I use it a lot. So I like Excel. It does a lot for me. I do a lot of these little spreadsheets. Hopefully you find this useful, and I look forward to trying to produce the next video and posting it. Oh, if you have any comments, go ahead and post them. I'll find your comments really useful. I'm looking for maybe suggestions and hints and ideas of what I want to do, or how I should be approaching things, and I'll take anybody's suggestion as to how things are being done, and what I might want to consider for both weight loss and weight gain. Looking for suggestions, looking for input. Thanks.